Hello again, whiskey friends. Thanks for joining everybody for another whiskey review. And today's review is years in the making and probably one of the most nerve-wracking reviews I am going to be recording because today we are getting into Drumkey Spirits, the debut. This bottle was actually blended by our good friend Jason C over at the Mash and Drum. And while we all want Jason C to succeed in this endeavor, hey, that also takes being able to give honest feedback on what he is blending so that he can maximize his work. So what did I think of this first release? Stick around to find out. Thank you for joining today, whiskey friends. Let's kick off the show. All right, well, let's pour this out here. Let this open up while we talk about some of the details. Always a good sign, though, when I pull out the bulb glass. So as mentioned, this is the debut release of the Drumkey, batch 1, 123 proof. And then on the back, we can see Jason C, play it louder. Got his autograph on there and everything. So it says on the back, thanks you for choosing this bottle of whiskey to enjoy and share. Every bottle is crafted with my uncompromising commitment to being the best. It's not about the whiskey. It's about the people you share it with. And if you are curious about these, Jason's teaming up with our friends over there at Barrel King. He's got his own tab there that says the Mash and Drum. And then you can see the debut that we're about to go into here. Some extra details to note on this page. A, we do have the price, $179.99. So Jason is coming in at a premium level here. Makes it all the more important to back that up with the whiskey. Other good details here as well. Debut is a true Kentucky small batch blend of hand-selected 7, 8, and 9-year Green River. I'll avoid some of the tasting notes here. I'm trying not to look at those. We'll get into the tasting notes ourselves. But this is how you can get to this if you are curious after this review. All right, so let's get into this one. We're going to start with the nose, then we'll travel our way through the palate and get into those final scores at the end. So cheers, everybody. If you're still here, be sure to hit that like and subscribe. Always doing reviews, blind flights, and keeping the community involved as we can. And Jason, I'll see you on the other side of this. Good luck, buddy. Cheers, everyone. You know, on the nose, I said this during my first impressions, and I even put a photo out there on Instagram where I documented some of these thoughts. There's a cherry note on this that reminds me so much of everything that I want stag to be these days, and it isn't. But if you were to give this to me blind, I think I would trick myself into thinking stag. It has that great cherry note that you can sometimes find in Green River, where it sticks in that cherry and more berry lane than drifting into the apricot or the peachiness. Even reminds me still of a bottle that won our best of the year flight, a Nash Tucky 5-year. Man, I think those were really good Green River too. Man, that's what this is reminding me of, somewhere in that range with that cherry note. But that cherry note is surrounded by some great baking spices, almost coming across as a buttery and flaky pie crust to me. And then there is this brightness that exists in the back of the nose. I'd almost equate it, it's maybe a vanilla custard, but even more brighter than that. I might even be swayed to say cannoli cream, and that is absolutely not a joke. That's legit tasting. I'm not just throwing cannolis in. I mean, there's even that powdered sugar aspect to this as well in the sweetness that's coming through. And then there is a nice oak. I know the age statement on this would be 7 years, all the way up to 9 years in the older casks. But you do get a nice oak there. So if I were to roll all that up into a more singular tasting note, I am legit getting a cannoli with a buttery crust on there, chocolate chips, but it's got a cherry reduction sauce all over it, bringing it up a level. So nose impresses there, and I am glad that I used the bulb glass. Now let's get into the palate here, and before we do that, first look at the gorgeous, gorgeous legs on this thing. Look at that perfect ring around the top and just the layers of oils that are coating that glass. Beautiful color as well. All right, cheers, everyone. Hopefully this lives up to my first impression. Woo, up front, woo. Up front, I want to call this a cherry bomb. Though, man, that cherry does drift into berries. The longer I allow this to go, we'll keep talking about that, particularly on the finish. But up front initially, man, this is really, really surprisingly sweet. Really lights up the front of my tongue on how sweet this is. But it is balanced a little bit with that layer of oak. That oak does shine through. Oh, man. The transition to mid palate then explodes with more berries. I mean, at this point, just imagine a bowl of cherries, blueberries, blackberries, and raspberries. I mean, just mix those all together. Ooh, on my first impression, man, I did not think that this was that fruit forward. But there are some cool layers here to try to break apart. But then beyond those cherries, that baking spice that I mentioned on the nose really does start to shine through and then continues to escalate into the finish. On the finish, the dang finish never stops, but it does continue that cherry berry bomb. That goes all the way through from start to finish. But on the finish, all the flavors that we actually broke down on the nose come together on the finish with that vanilla cream, with that buttery pie crust. More of the oak is lingering there as well. And what's a nice surprise in all of this, because it's not entirely hinted at with how sweet this is initially, but on the finish, there is a black pepper and more rye spice. As I'm trying to work through the finish, essentially the sweetness is taking over the front of my tongue, while the rye spice is attacking the back of the palate. And similar to what I was saying with the mouthfeel and how oily this thing is, that finish is relentless, and I'd expect nothing else from Jason C., as he's talked about the importance of finish and all of his barrel picks and everything that he's reviewed all these years. Be very, very surprising to find his first debut release to not have one heck of a finish. So here on the channel, we do have a robust scoring system that I grade as I walk through this with you live. It's comprised of a flavor score, an experience score, and a value score. Aggregate all those scores together, and you can see how this whiskey compares to other whiskeys that we've reviewed. And this really is one heck of a debut. The main champion of this whole thing really is the flavors and the length of the finish, accompanied by that amazing mouthfeel. The only place that this lost points was in the value and in some of the complexity metrics, as it is very singular focused on its flavor profile, though the range of those fruits cannot be discounted, especially considering I really don't have any other green rivers that have the range of those fruits. Usually it's steered towards that apricot, the peach, or the cherry, but nothing that goes from cherry to berry and all these different berry medleys. And thank God Jason brought his A game on this, because it would have been quite an awkward review to not love it so much. But you did good, Jason. I'm a big fan of this. But now that you got the debut down, what's going to be the encore? Pressure is still on, release after release. Good luck, buddy. Keep spoiling us. Well, thank you for joining today, Whiskey Friends. Many of you have this as well. I know you do. Let us know what you think of it in the comments. And remember that you can still find this release available on Barrel King. But what a great way to end the year. And this also means it's a high enough score where we are going to put this in our blind tournament next year. So we'll see how well this Drumkey does blind. And just remember, while you can always find more whiskey, you can never have enough whiskey friends. So take care of those around you, and we'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye, buddy. Thank you for watching Hello Again, Whiskey Friends, everybody. A big shout out to our amazing Patreon community. If it wasn't for you, we couldn't continue to produce the content and barrel picks week after week. And for everybody else out there, be sure to hit that like and subscribe. It really helps the channel more than you know. And we'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye, everybody.